don't think so.
All right, excellent.
A little phlegmy. Hopefully that doesn't come through.
It's fine.
It's the fall now. Everyone's full of mucus. It's the grossest thing I've ever said.
No, that is definitely not true.
I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hello, humans of the internet. Welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast for the movies that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Quirky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
Crushed it.
Yeah, there you go. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
None of the audience knows that you were rehearsing beforehand.
I was.
Whoops.
It's okay.
Yeah.
This point, I'm sure people have seen through my ruse and know that I know nothing.
Right, and that you're super professional.
I am just here for goofs.
We're excited to be back with another show, and I'm excited
guest!
about another guest. Our guest is Brian Olsen. Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Those who have listened to Autographs might remember Brian from the Doctor Who panel, which Rachel asked a question on.
I did, and then you also got a snippet of me and my partner talking about our experience at FlameCon.
Yes.
So if you haven't listened to that episode, do it, because now you've got context.
You'll have so much context. And so Brian was really great. So Brian, I love the backstory about meeting you because you knew my wife, but when you reached out to me, you didn't realize you knew my wife.
Right, it was through someone else.
Right, it was through Melissa.
Friend.
Yeah. And so, my friend Melissa, who I know who's a musician, is just like, hey, my friend is looking for folks to do a Doctor Who panel. I know you like that shit. I was like, yeah, I do. She's like, great, I'll let him know. And you reached out, and then, both you realized, I think, not too much longer after Sarah did, oh, Brian Olsen, I know him, and it's just very funny.
I have to
such
say,
a small world.
Your wife introduces you to the coolest people.
That's true.
That's
well, I don't
very
have
true.
any cred. It's all her. That's
she's
easy.
moving and shaking.
But Brian asked me to be on a Doctor Who panel where we talked about queerness and Doctor Who, and it was a blast. And before we get to our movies that we recently watched, I was curious how you came up with the idea to do that panel. Was it just because it was just you're a big Doctor Who fan and it was a queer convention?
Pretty much, yeah. I had I tabled at FlameCon. I sell my books at FlameCon.
Right.
And I'd never done a panel before anywhere. So the proposals came up this year, for this past year. And I was like, I want to do a panel. So I actually submitted one first on self-publishing. Mm-hmm. So I self-published my book. So it was sort of like how to self-publish. Mm-hmm. And I put a ton of work into the proposal. I really put a lot of thought into it. I wrote it up. I lined up panelists for it, put that proposal in. And then I got an email on the last day that proposals were due saying, if you want to get a panel in, get it in. And I was like, you know what? I like Doctor Who. So I dashed off, in 15 seconds, I dashed off a proposal for a Doctor Who panel, just as I could do that. And they accepted the Doctor Who panel and not the self-publishing panel.
Nice. That's really funny. It's interesting how in the arts sometimes you could put absolutely no effort into a thing, and then it becomes the thing that you end up doing.
Yeah.
I think that's very funny.
Well, I mean, it's a selling point, not to break down a con as what's gonna get more butts in seats.
Well, that's true. And it was just the Doctor had already regenerated. We knew the Doctor was gonna be a woman for the first time. It seemed like it was the right moment to do a panel like that too.
It was good timing, and FlameCon was correct. I think this was the more fun of the two panels.
I mean, I definitely had fun, and I probably wouldn't be on the self-publishing panel as I am not a self-published author or anything, really. I guess I'm a self-published podcaster.
You're a creative.
I am a creative.
You're one of them creative types.
As far as I'm concerned, podcasting is art, because otherwise I have nothing.
How dare you be a creative in 2018? What are you doing?
So we'll do what we usually do, which is go around and talk about the movies we've seen, and I've got a doozy for the one I watched.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So in my sickened haze, because we were supposed to record earlier this week as when we were recording, and I ended up feeling under the weather, so we rescheduled. And so that night, at that point, I had already just watched parts of The Last Night, the Transformers movie.
Okay.
But I only watched about 20 minutes in total because I skipped through most of it because it was very boring. And I was like, I can't talk about this movie. I've got nothing to say about it. So instead I watched I believe it was 2001 or 2005, the little-known space movie hit Doom, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Wait, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in a Doom movie?
Doom, yes. Doom. Like the video game.
Okay, what?
Yes.
I feel like this is most of my life in podcasts. I'm just like, what?
So it was starring him and also Carl Urban. And it takes the very basics of the idea that there are space marines in a world where you fight evil.
Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't play Doom very much, but I don't even remember there really being a story to it.
So in the original Doom, there wasn't much of a story. The original Doom was a gate to hell opened, and these space marines go through to kill all the beasts and save the scientists. Although they're all dead by the time you get there. And so this movie took that and said, well, what if instead they discovered a gate to Mars in the center of the Earth, and now there are scientists on Mars that are having trouble, and we have to send this Marine unit to go save them. So there was that. And so anyway, that's the basic premise, but then you find out throughout the movie that also Carl Urban, who is like, almost done with his tour, that nonsense. They go, and his sister is stationed there, and they don't speak anymore, and so there's family drama. But essentially something happens to the scientists researching there. They start transforming into monsters, and these Marines have to take them out. And of course, the Marines get picked off one by one until they find out all the scientists are infected. And so then it's mostly just The Rock and Carl Urban left. I'd use their character names, but I think they were mentioned once. Oh, Carl Urban, his code name was Reaper. So I remember that. I have no idea. I think he was just Sarge.
And The Rock.
The Rock was Sarge.
That's his code name.
So anyway, the only cool thing this movie did is The Rock is seemingly the lead and the hero the whole movie. And in the last half hour, after they find out that whatever's changing people into monsters is like a virus, Carl Urban's character wants to save the scientists, and The Rock just wants to eradicate everybody to protect the Earth. So then in the last half hour, The Rock becomes the villain. And at the end of the movie, Carl Urban has to fight The Rock and save his sister and then escape.
Well, that sounds kind of interesting.
So that was kind of cool. Also, this whole movie existed for, I think, 15 minutes of footage. So at one point in the movie, they find out it's a serum that aggressive people become monsters, but good people become like super soldiers. And so Carl Urban is about to die. His sister injects him with it, and he passes out. And then when he wakes up, it's first person. It's through his eyes. And he's screaming for his sister and can't find her. So he picks up his gun, cocks it, and the next 15 minutes of him killing monsters is in first person like it's the game Doom.
Weird.
It's so weird. And it's clearly shoehorned in just so they could make it look like the video game.
It sounds like the plot, as you're describing it, sounds like they had like a sci-fi movie, and then the producers were like, well, we have the license to Doom.
That's pretty much what I think it was.
Slap a few things on top of it.
Because I honestly think the movie would have gotten more traction if it was just some new sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Because the acting was as problematic as you expect a late 90s, early 2000s movie. Like, there was the token black mercenary, and then there was, like, the creepy white guy sexist mercenary who keeps leering at women and making inappropriate comments. Things like that. And so there was a decent amount of sexism and chauvinism in it. But, like, when it got past that, there was some good sci-fi writing. And, like, the storyline with the scientists were interesting, that, like, these scientists then became these monsters. At one point, one of the soldiers they think is dead wakes up, realizes he's turning into a monster, and kills himself, so he doesn't kill his friends.
See, I think that would give him a pass to be a good person.
Right?
Like he hulks and he, like, shoots himself, but then he's, like, awaking and he's like, self-sacrifice makes me good, I guess. Now I'm a super soldier.
Nope, he just bashed his own head in and died.
Aww.
So, like, it was not...
Wait, all the scientists turn into monsters?
Seems so, yeah.
So this movie is trying to say that all scientists are bad.
I guess.
How dare you? How dare you, movie?
Like, it's funny because the movie, I don't think I'd say it was bad.
Yeah.
I think it was sloppy and disorganized. The action was kind of cool. And, like, I'm a sucker for Carl Urban. Like,
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah.
I've had a crush on him for ages. And so, like, anything he's in, I'll watch. And he's been in some really bad movies. But I saw this and I was like, oh, okay, he'll be generic soldier guy. Like, if he can do it as Judge Dredd, he can do it here.
Oh, that's such a good movie.
It was.
The Carl Urban Dread movie?
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
This was not that movie.
Oh, man.
But so, all in all, it was like, most of the time I spent watching the movie going, what? Wait, what? And, like, going back, like, did they really just say or do that thing? But yeah, I think that, like, building up The Rock as the lead, because he was top billing, he was on the posters, in front and center, for him to become, like, the bad guy and slowly turning into a monster at the end, and, like, the actual good soldier, the war-torn soldier having to stop him, was a cool plot twist. The only thing was there was nothing leading up to that. Like, it was, like, throughout the movie, The Rock wasn't like, oh, we have to kill everybody. Like, he was thinking about his soldiers first, but it was just in like the last half hour when they found some innocents. He kills the rookie who found them and goes, they all have to die. And I'm like,
What?
I'm sorry, what? Where did this come from, Rock? Where is the character arc? Yeah, it's also weird to see him not act very well because he's a good actor as far as I'm concerned. Maybe not the best I've ever seen, but I like him in most movies. And in this, he was decidedly not great. And which was interesting to me. And Carl Urban was Carl Urban. He spoke in a deep voice. He like flashed his eyes. He shot some dudes. Like he was cliche him until, you know, he's done more now. And so like, I didn't have much complaints about him. The supporting cast was kind of forgettable, and I don't remember any of the characters' names except Reaper, who I just mentioned.
Was this The Rock's first feature? Do we know?
It was definitely one of the earliest.
Yeah.
Like, I think he had just come out of wrestling. He might have done... I don't know.
Wasn't The Mummy one of the earliest ones he did?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But he
barely is in that movie.
They CGI'd his image.
His torso onto a giant scorpion.
A scorpion.
Well, he's in the flashbacks. There were a couple flashbacks that he was
true.
actually himself. But yeah. Scorpion King came out after that. But yeah, no, the Mummy and Scorpion King might have been the first, and then this was probably right after, because it was definitely not after The Rundown, which was one of my favorite movies he's been in, because in that movie, Christopher Walken is the bad guy. And I love when Christopher Walken is a bad guy.
He's such a good bad guy.
But yeah, all in all, the movie was okay. I'm glad I watched it while I was sick, and I didn't make an appointment to like go, oh, we're all going to watch Doom. It's going to be great. I mean, I didn't expect it to be very good, and I wasn't disappointed by any means. Let's see. And so now I have to wrap it up with a 3-word review.
3-word review. Doom.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's tough.
Game was better.
Game was better. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's actually a new... In the last, I think it was 3 years, Bethesda re-released Doom as a new game. Like, they redid it from the ground up. They gave it a story, but it was still it's still the first game, but with better graphics and, like, a storyline and all of that. Yeah. I've been wanting to play it, and watching this movie just made me want to play it more, to watch this movie out of my mind.
Yeah.
Because it just was not great.
I think I started watching the Markiplier playthrough
of that
of the new
Doom.
I didn't get into that one.
Yeah,
I think it's just a little too.
I mean, it's all gore and monsters.
I've never been a big first-person shooter, so the movie Doom.
Yeah,
I never sought it out.
Yeah,
so
no, that's legit.
Yeah.
I only started playing first-person shooters recently, and it's because there have been better first-person and third-person shooters that have RPG elements that feel like RPGs, and I'm like, all right, if you put nerdy stuff like RPG elements into a shooter, I'll give it a shot.
Oh man!
But my aim is still terrible. Like I can't do the thing. I can't point the gun at stuff.
I have dumb thumbs. That's
you have
what
dumb
I
thumbs.
say.
We've
dumb
talked about that.
Like it's hashtag dumb thumbs as I do.
I want to get that hashtag going. We'll talk about that on the next Fun and Games episode.
Get it trending.
Yeah, dumb thumbs. So Rachel, what was the movie you watched most recently?
Okay, so the internet's gonna think I have garbage taste. But
I mean,
I do. I absolutely have garbage taste, and that's fine.
Our taste
but
is unique.
I would like to present 2 movies as companion pieces. Because here's the deal. I watched the first movie and purposely did not watch another movie till the day we were supposed to record, and then we pushed back recording, and I got so amped for the second movie that I had to watch it, knowing full well that I would have to like
so your movie,
my movie is 2 movies
because it's the first one and the sequel.
No, it's one movie that's one thing and another movie that's another thing.
Uh-oh.
So Halloween just happened
recently,
as of this recording, and of course I watched the Halloween classic film starring Bette Midler, Hocus Pocus.
Of course.
And I was so excited and ready, and I was like, I'm going to talk about Hocus Pocus. And I still want to, and I'm not killing that because this is important.
It is.
To talk about Hocus Pocus matters.
I am the worst
You've
gay
never
in the world.
You've never seen Hocus Pocus? How are
Hocus
you?
Pocus.
They're going to take your gay card away.
No.
Boy, they're not.
No,
Don't
it's
let
true.
They
them.
probably
It's okay.
should. I need to watch this.
No. It's awesomely bad.
Yeah.
And I love it. And Bette Midler gives just the performance of.
I mean, all 3 of the
lifetime.
actresses do.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Sarah
like
Jessica
it's
Parker.
so good, and it's so bad, and it's so campy, and it's so spooky. I love it. It's I would watch that movie all year round.
I also love any movie that Doug Jones is in, who played the zombie in that. He famously plays, what's the Hellboy character he played?
The Fishman.
And
then he
Abe
played
Sapien.
another, and then he played another Fishman.
Oh yeah, he was in, of course, The Shape of Water.
And he was
Star
the
Trek Discovery.
Star
Trek Discovery.
From Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth, right.
Just like a skinny, creepy
Pretty
guy.
much if there's a guy you need to be in a weird costume or uncomfortable makeup, Doug Jones is your guy.
Doug Jones is your guy. Doug Jones. And the puppet is so bad, and the story is so weird. And
so do you feel like it didn't hold up the same way you remembered it watching it again?
Oh, no. I loved it as a child. I love it as an adult.
But for different reasons, or
no, for the same reasons.
Have you watched it? How recently have you watched it?
I watched it for this Halloween in 2018, and I watched it for last Halloween in 2017.
Okay.
And I watched it for Halloween in 2016. I've pretty much, since I've been an adult and have been like allowed to own DVDs.
You've watched it.
I own it on DVD, and I watched it. This time I watched it as like a post-Halloween party hangover hangout with my D&D friends. And my friend Nate, what's up, Nate? Hey, had never seen it ever. So we were just like sitting in his living room watching this movie, and I was just like, I love this movie so much. I love it so much. And I was like quoting along with it like some weird shadow cast loser. And then I asked him what he thought. He was like, it's okay. And I was like, it's amazing. What are you talking about?
I was dating this guy not too long ago, and he made me sit down and watch Teen Witch, I think. It's like a 80s, 90s movie.
Sounds like it would be.
Yeah. That.
He really wanted me to like it, and
Yeah.
I really tried to like it, and I didn't like it.
It's okay. Like, I understand that I have a deep-seated love for this weird movie.
Yeah.
And not everybody's gonna love it.
It was weird for the time. I feel like
level. I think it aged better than
probably
than it. Did you know? Here we go.
Movie
My trivia time. In order to get this movie made, the writers and the creators tried really hard to sell this to Disney by decorating the conference room in like Halloween. They had like candy corn everywhere, and they dangled a broom and a mop and a vacuum in the air, and they were just trying to like evoke the feeling of Halloween to sell this movie, and it worked, and I just love that.
That's really great.
But anyway, that's not even the movie I watched most recently. I just needed to talk about it. Thank you for letting me indulge. 3 words, it's still perfect. But Friday night after our record, I was reminded of an animated feature from 1997 that exists. Because Kyra Sims, a Facebook friend of mine, was like, this is the thread for you to talk about your favorite moment from the 1997 animated film, Cats Don't Dance.
I don't even remember that one.
I've never heard of that movie.
Cats Don't Dance.
And I spent 40 minutes, probably, talking to my partner about how great this movie is and how much I love it and just how good it is and how every second is just perfect. And so I bought it on Amazon and I watched it that night, and I gotta say, it holds up. I love it.
So what's Cats Don't Dance about?
So it is an alternate universe where animals are anthropomorphic.
Okay.
And it's in Hollywood in the proto, like, 1930s, 1940s.
Okay.
They make references to, like, Joan Crawford and, like, all these... And all the cars are, like, super old. So it's, like, the golden age of film.
Okay.
But it's sort of an analogy of how different actors are treated. So like human actors are given all of like the clout and the acclaim. So you have this like young starlet named Darla Dimple, who's sort of like a caricature of I guess like Shirley Temple or something.
Okay.
But she's like horrible. She's a super diva. She actually hates animals, and all these animals are like downtrodden, and like all they want to do is be like film actors. And this very plucky hero, voiced by Scott Bakula, who's a cat, comes to Hollywood from Kokomo, Indiana. Hoosiers represent. And he sort of changes everybody's like feelings. Like everyone's really sad and like put upon, like the goat and the fish are used to be dancers. They do like tango, and he like brings about joy in them. And like the lady cat, he's like, you're a great dancer and a great singer. You need to show your talent. So it's just it's kind of this weird like analogy of like civil rights. But it's an animated feature, and it's a musical, and I love it. And Scott Bakula sings in it, and like Jasmine Guy is the lady cat, and she has a beautiful voice. I love it. And then at the end, there's like all these posters of like old movies that these spoilers for this movie, where the animals are like stars. So it's like the Witches of Eastwick and like The Mask and like all these dumb references. And it's just joyful. It's just stupid joyful.
And so you'd seen this when it originally came out, and then and then you're rewatching it
in
now.
'97, I was very obsessed with musicals, and I was very obsessed with felines.
I mean, when weren't you obsessed with musicals?
I'm surprised I missed this movie. It sounds like something I would have been into.
Boy, it's so good, and the music's really great. It's Randy Newman and I can't remember who else, but it's.
I mean, Randy Newman's a pretty safe bet for good music.
Oh yeah. Like. The villain song Big and Loud is like this belting piece, and I'm just like, oh, if I were still auditioning for musicals, I definitely would put this in my book because it's great. Yeah, it's just like a short jaunt, and it's wonderful and delightful.
This sounds neat.
I
love Scott Bakula.
Yeah,
he's great
and he's
in
so
everything.
good. Like he's a really good singer.
He
like
started
he
as
can,
a musical theater
he can
person.
sketch.
Oh, really? I didn't know
and,
that.
Like, belt and like he's like Hollywood, where the streets are paved with gold.
There's this super obscure
so
musical he
good.
did ages ago. I think it might have gone to Broadway. It might have just been off Broadway, called Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down. Do you know that?
I know this show. Somebody put it on in my hometown when I was growing up there.
Scott Bakula was in the original cast of that.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I just loved it. That's
Really
all. I
funny.
just like, I love
It's funny
both
what
these
you find out about
movies.
actors. Like, we have so much more of an awareness of actors' past lives post-success now because of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew Hugh Jackman as a singer as well as an action star because I saw The Boy from Oz, which came out after the first X-Men movie. But I had known he was a singer before that. I'd just seen other things that he'd around that he'd been in. But I knew about The Boy from Oz for a long time, and like everyone else was like, "Wait, Wolverine sings? I don't understand." I was like, "Dude is like a giant musical star back at home.
Yeah.
Like he's only Wolverine here because it was his first major role."
You know, when he was in between scenes for Van Helsing, he would actually be rehearsing his dance numbers.
Yeah.
So he's like dressed as Van Helsing, but like tap dancing. Amazing.
Man, I wish there was video of that.
I wish. Oh man,
I would watch
what a
that.
time! What a time!
Van
to have
Helsing
been
is a
alive.
movie I should rewatch for this podcast because I remember loving it, and I know it wasn't good. I just remember loving it. I remember loving it because it was one of the few properties that depicted Frankenstein as not an idiot. Like he was a monster, and but he was like smart and like caring and compassionate.
More like the book.
Yeah, more like the book.
I love it.
So what's your 3-word review of Cats Don't Dance?
See, I should have thought of this beforehand, but I never do. For Cats Don't Dance.
Part of me always wants to help, but then I'm like, I shouldn't
but
help.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see the movie.
Would watch repeatedly.
All right.
That would
That's
be
a good
it.
review.
Because now that I own it, I'm like, oh, so I just watch Cats Don't Dance anytime I feel bad. Yeah?
There you go.
I was singing along. This was just like the time of me watching these classics from my childhood with people who had never seen them and just like silent being like leaves you kind of speechless, don't it?
To the 3 people who've seen this movie, these bits will be great.
You guys, you love it. You'll love it. But yeah, so that's where my garbage heart has been. I've not watched any great films of note. I've watched ridiculous films from the 90s for children.
I mean, I did want to try before we recorded to go see The Green Book because I hear it's supposed to be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Mashal Ali, and I like Viggo Mortensen because he's never the same in every movie. Like he's such a good character actor to like jump into roles. So and I really want to see that. Anyway, on to our guest Brian. What is the most recent movie you watched?
Okay, earlier this week I did watch a great movie. I watched from 2006. I had to look that up. I watched John Cameron Mitchell's Short Bus.
Oh, I've not ever seen Short Bus.
I haven't either.
Great.
Yeah.
It was his follow-up, I guess, to Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
That's what I had figured, yeah.
And it got a lot of publicity at the time because it has actual sex in it. Like, the actors actually perform the sex scenes.
Like, they're actually having sex with each other.
Sex. It shows penetration. It shows ejaculation. It shows everything.
Interesting.
But it's a movie. It's a dramatic comedy, which sex is an integral part of it.
Wait, are you saying that sex isn't real in the movies I watch? Sorry, I had to do that.
Probably depends on the movie.
I just felt my skeleton fall out of my skin thinking that I would have to explain this to you. I know. Like, I know it was a joke, but it was like...
So what's Short Bus about?
It follows a couple of different people in New York in 2006, and there's sort of problems they're having with either their relationships, with their sense of self-worth. It varies depending on the characters, but it all sort of revolves around, and their stories collide at this salon / sex party hosted by Justin Bond, who plays V Self. I believe Justin Bond uses V as his pronouns. So Justin Bond plays Justin Bond as the host of this party, Short Bus, which is actually based on parties that John Cameron Mitchell actually used to throw. These combo art salons, sex parties. So I saw this movie when it came out, and I left the theater feeling revitalized in a weird way, because I was out of grad school for about a year, and I had studied directing, and I wasn't doing a lot of it, and I was feeling very worn down by the business of theater, and I left that just feeling like I have to go and make art, because even though only a few of the characters are artists, and I wouldn't say it's necessarily about them as artists, it's still such a creative movie.
Yeah.
Like, it has a creative energy to it, and the characters all have a creative energy to it, that I leave it feeling like I feel so creative and sex positive, and I just want to touch everyone and love everyone. Yeah, it's a really beautiful movie.
Is it a musical as well, or is this just non-musical?
No, it's non-musical. There is a great number at the end. Justin Bond sings. There are songs in it. Diegetic, performed by the characters. But no, it's not a musical. But there is a fantastic song at the end that I'd forgotten about, that now I have to get the soundtrack to it.
Right, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And what would be your 3-word review of this film?
Sex has to be in there somewhere. Sex, love, art.
There you go.
Love
Doesn't
it.
have to be a sentence.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a
That works.
sentence.
Yeah. I often do sentences just because, I'm not witty enough not to.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I didn't say cats do dance.
Oh, God, you could have said that. That would have been really corny. I'm so glad you haven't said that on a recorded medium where we have it for posterity.
It's okay, I'll edit it out.
That's true. You edit the show.
Or I
From
won't.
going live, I never know what will still be in the episode.
I might put sound clips in. Who knows? I go crazy.
You have fun with that. I ain't got the time. Well, Brian, thank you for being on the show.
Thank
For
you.
those who don't know, Brian Olsen is a fantastic writer, science fiction primarily,
Science
correct?
fiction and fantasy.
And fantasy. And is it considered young adult?
Yeah, my new series is young adult.
Okay.
I've sort of jumped around with my different series.
Got it. So you've done a range of sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah.
And so how long have you actually been writing books for?
My first one I put out in 2012.
Okay.
So I started writing in 2011.
And it sounds like you went to school though for other things, like for theater, and so you didn't. Did you always want to be a writer, or is it kind of something you fell into?
I sort of fell into it. I had been a theater person my entire life. That was what I studied. I was an actor when I first moved to New York. Then, as I said, I went to grad school for directing. I started producing, and then I got kind of burnt out in it. I was production managing, and I wasn't feeling very artistic because I was doing budgets and supervising designers and putting up shows, but not really putting up my own shows. So I needed an artistic outlet. And I used to write for the theater. I used to write monologues and sketches and plays.
Oh, cool.
But I wrote them for myself to write or to act or direct in, because I didn't think of myself as a writer. And then a friend of mine, Kate Danley, who was a great fantasy author, urban fantasy author, she was having a lot of success, personal success. She's also an actor, and she started writing as well, writing books, and she loved it. So I thought, well, that's a good outlet. That's something I can do while I'm working all day and in rehearsals all nights and weekends. And I fell in love with it.
That's
So I
awesome.
left the producing job. I took another day job that gives me my evenings and weekends free, and I haven't really looked back.
That's awesome.
I did that.
And would you say that sci-fi and fantasy film influence your writing for the series you do?
For sure,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've always been a huge sci-fi and fantasy fan as a kid and as a teen.
Would you say there are seminal sci-fi movies that really stand out as things that inspire some of the work you've done?
Yeah, well, I know this is a movie podcast, but you know what I'm actually going to say is going to be a TV show.
Right.
That's fine.
Which is Doctor Who.
Of course.
There are 2 Doctor Who movies.
That is true. There are 2
kinda
Doctor Who
like
movies. And technically the David Tennant, like, hour and 20-minute long episodes are sort of movies. Like those one-offs that he did between his last season and his regeneration.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I mean, there is the one that America did.
Yes,
Doctor
the
Who
TV movie on Fox in
Oh,
96
that's right.
with Paul McGann.
Yeah, Paul McGann. I watched that one.
Okay, great.
I
so
have good taste
That works. It
sometimes.
works. And so you'd say that Doctor Who had a big influence on that?
Yeah. The ethos of it, I was a big superhero fan as well. I love comic books. So between that and Doctor Who, just the idea of like the hero, just of doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And doing the right thing even if it's hard to do. So my first series is sort of contemporary sci-fi, and it follows 4 20-somethings just sort of living their life. It's, sort of drawing a lot in my own 20s when I was living with a couple of roommates and having fun with them, who get caught up in all this sort of sci-fi murder, awful things. And I was really interested in sort of that period in your life where you're sort of figuring out what kind of person you're going to be in the mid to late 20s. And so even though you wouldn't look at this series and think, yeah, that's inspired by Doctor Who, the sort of morality of it, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
is inspired
no, I
by
get
it.
that.
Is it because Doctor Who, the companions, feature so many different types of people who all go through these experiences of traveling with the Doctor and facing these awful things, and they choose to be better people because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of where influences lie.
And tell me a little bit about your current series now, the newest one you're working on.
Current series is young adult fantasy. It's called Yesterday's Magic. There are 2 books out in it, and then the 3rd one will be out early next year. And it follows a teenager named Chris Armstrong, who wakes up one morning from a horrible nightmare to find that he has unusual magical powers that he cannot control.
Like you do.
And gradually learns that other people in his town are also developing magical powers, and learns that the world used to be completely different, that it was a magical fantasy realm that was under threat by a tyrannical wizard called the Common King. And the good wizards who could not defeat him cast a spell to rewrite the world as if magic never existed, which turned it into our world.
Interesting.
But now the old magic is starting to bleed back, and the Common King may be coming back, and Chris, of course, is the one who has to face him.
That's really cool. I like that
That's
concept.
neat. I do have a question. In my dive on your internet life, your website says that you write horrible things happening to interesting people. I have to know, when you are writing these horrible things that are happening to your interesting people, do you revel in it or do you mourn what you have to do to your characters? It's always an interesting thing. Like, I always want to ask authors who write things that are like difficult, like, did you have fun writing a bad thing that happened to your kid? You're like, oh, this is great, I love it, and then they died. Or you like, oh no, these are my children, I have to.
No, I like writing the horrible things.
I love that. Thank you. Good.
If I have to kill a character that I've really gotten to love, that would be the only time. Like, if I actually have to kill them. But otherwise, if I'm writing the horrible things, I know they're gonna get
Come
out
to
of
the other
it.
side of it, yeah.
Except when they don't.
Except when they don't,
So you
yeah.
have to kill characters off.
Have you ever started writing a part of one of your books and, like, your plan is to go to A, but it ends up going to B or C instead? Like, it branches from what you'd planned?
Sometimes, not too often. A lot of writers say, like, oh, I just listen to my characters and they tell me the story. And I'm not like that. I'm like, you work for me. You're going to do what I tell you to do. But sometimes if you're being true to them, particularly if it's later in a series, where the path that I had in mind maybe doesn't feel right for those characters anymore. There's something that happens in my first series, The Future Next Door, which starts with Alan Lennox and the Temp Job of Doom, which is my first book.
It's my favorite title of all your books.
So good.
There's a character, one of the main characters is Dakota Bell, and her girlfriend shows up in the second book, Taisha. And Taisha wasn't really meant to be a main character, but I really fell in love with the character, and she eventually becomes a point of view character in the books.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
And then at the end of the third book, each of the four main characters sort of gets to be the title character in one of the books. So the fourth book is Dakota's book, but at the end of the third book, Taisha sort of goes in another direction. I don't know how spoilery I want to be, but I'll spoil it. She their relationship. I had envisioned them as like they're just a happy, good lesbian couple. They're really good for each other. And I was sort of, as I was writing the third book, I was realizing like Dakota's a really strong personality, and so is Taisha. And Dakota's used to sort of people doing what she wants them to do. She's used to being in charge, and Taisha's not going to be always happy with that. And as it was going, I found like I was writing Taisha getting like snippy with Dakota and getting resentful until they take a break at the end of the third book, which then I was sort of like that really changes what I need to do in the fourth book, because now I'm starting with them on a break. And Taisha becomes almost as big a character as Dakota in that last book, and their relationship became a huge thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really neat.
So sometimes that happens, but it's like it's a happy thing if you're listening to your characters in that way.
As a person who has a theater background and likes film and is inspired by film, do you ever kind of fantasize what your books might be like if they were optioned for a film? Do you toy with that at all?
Do you cast them? Ooh.
A little. I try not to go too far down that road.
Right,
because I worry a lot, and a lot of writers will like visualize certain actors in their characters. I find if I do that, I get a little too limited.
Right.
By that starts to supplant my own image of the character. I definitely, certainly, as most authors do, I would love for my works to be optioned. I do think about like, would this series be better as a film or as a TV show?
Right, of course.
Yeah.
Especially now that like TV is almost as versatile as film, because so many private companies are making, like Netflix and Hulu and all those companies are making huge series and dropping them all at once.
And it's kind of this weird time where everyone has access to good film equipment.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like a resurgence of when camcorders were a thing, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have this implement that can record stuff. Let's make redneck zombies on a camcorder and press all the buttons ever, And I think that's really cool, like that independent artists and creators have access to the equipment they need. Said someone who is doing a podcast in someone's apartment. But yeah, it's really cool.
Oh yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, that was it. That's what I said.
That was your point? You had no other point? That's fine. Brian, do you have any interest in getting into other medium now that you've been writing your own stories as novels for so long? Do you have any interest in getting back into doing more theater or film or anything like that?
Yeah, theater for sure. Yeah. I mean, I film, I think I would need to turn it over to somebody else to do. I love film, but I don't have the knowledge to do it. I wouldn't even know where to start. I'm just, someone wants to email me and says, I want to option your book. Great. But
guys, get on that.
Producing it, no. But theater, yeah. No, probably not adapting, because my stuff is all sci-fi and fantasies. A little hard to adapt for this stage.
Unless you have, like, all the money ever.
Yeah, unless you're doing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Right.
That on Broadway. Yeah, I actually recently have started thinking about getting back into theater, because I've been doing improv as sort of my toe of dipping back into performing after being away for a while. I took a bunch of classes at UCB.
Oh, very fun. I've been studying at the Magnet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Great. And I have two teams that have formed out of classes there, the indie teams, and we just sort of rehearse and perform around the city. But I've been seeing more like stand-up and sketch, and I've been thinking like, well, I used to write sketch, so I've been thinking about getting back into that, both for writing and for performing.
If budget wasn't an option, like if you didn't have to worry about costs, would you want to adapt any of your works into a play?
Yeah. Actually, the first series started in my head as the original idea, because I had the original idea while I was still doing theater, and it was meant to be a serialized karaoke musical.
Oh, cool.
The idea was that I would do it in like a bar or something like that.
Oh, cool.
And use like songs in it, existing karaoke songs, so the actors would be singing. And it would be like a soap, like a serialized soap.
Oh, that's cool.
And then I sort of I changed it a lot, and only like two or three of the characters actually survived, and the plot changed. But it turned into these books. So the idea of turning it back into something for the stage, I think would be really fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like that.
Do you have, since you write so much sci-fi and fantasy, do you find that you watch less sci-fi and fantasy or more because you're in those kinds of worlds?
I still definitely watch it. I probably read a little bit less than I used to, but I still watch a lot of film and TV. That's the genres probably that I watch the most. Is sci-fi and fantasy.
And is that something you've been into since you were young?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like it's fairly common in the States for young boys to like just get into sci-fi and fantasy stuff. Like it's just what we're presented with often. It's changing now, but I feel like, we're not of hugely different ages. And I feel like when we were younger, like all the cartoons were sci-fi and fantasy and a lot of the movies geared towards us were as well.
Yeah. I had magic, ponies and princesses and spells and witches.
Stuff like that.
Hocus Pocus.
I mean, that said, like She-Ra just got re-released.
I'm so excited.
I haven't watched it
yet.
I watched 6 episodes this weekend.
It's good.
It's
yeah,
very
I'm
good.
very excited
I'm
for it.
working through way too much anime right now.
I'm kind of hoping now that She-Ra got re-released is that He-Man will also get re-released, and that they'll lean into the clearly not straight life of Prince Adam and his friends. Because, it doesn't have to be overtly like a gimmicky thing, but I think it's very clear that like those characters are not necessarily straight, and that would be cool to see.
Yeah, for sure.
In a modern cartoon.
Yeah, I would love for them to just spin it off of She-Ra with the same creative
That would
team.
be awesome.
I think it's Noel Stevenson does it. Just give it to her.
Yeah, let her do
a
it.
season of it.
I mean, I'd also like to see how you would draw He-Man now, because my in my mind, He-Man is warped as this weird trapezoidal human that like has these unrealistic proportions, and She-Ra was more like so it's funny, over the weekend we were talking about this. She-Ra and Prince Adam were like 15 and 18 years old, but they were not drawn that way.
No, that's definitely like an animation thing. Like again, bringing it back to anime, that happens all the time where you're just like, I know, Usagi, that you are supposed to be 13. You look like you're 20.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like.
And so I'd be curious to see like Prince Adam in a modern animation style, not being this giant truck of a human, and actually being his proportions, but still being really strong and all of that stuff.
Yeah, like leaning in more to that animation style of an Adventure Time or Steven Universe, where children look like children.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
They're not sexy.
If you watch the new She-Ra, you can probably get an idea of it from the male characters in it.
Yeah.
Because they're all revamps of the original characters.
Right.
And you remember He-Man and She-Ra, like, all the men have the same body, all the women have the exact same body.
Right.
So you can look at like Bo in She-Ra and get an idea of where they might take
What they might do
characters.
that.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. And I mean, it wouldn't be beyond Netflix to do something like that, because they've done that with a lot of shows, like spun them off from other stuff. So I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta make room since they canceled a bunch of Marvel stuff. So
That's true.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, I'm so behind on all the Marvel stuff, it's starting to feel like homework. Like, and I love comic books, and I love the movies. In fact, I missed my first Marvel movie. I think I brought this up on the podcast, but I did not see Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not because I didn't want to, but just timing. It didn't work out, and it wasn't in theaters. And I've been told if I liked Ant-Man, I'll like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of the same. It's not
definitely
really
one of those where if I had an opportunity to sort of like pick it apart, I'd be like, here's stuff that could have been amended, always more Michael Pena, thank you.
I love him. He's wonderful.
Ant-Man and the Wasp it doesn't feel quite as essential as most of the other Marvel movies do.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Except if you keep reading Marvel news on the internet and then you're like, the quantum realm's the answer, and I'm just like, no, please.
It's not news. Stop it. It's not a news.
That's not a news. Thank you.
It's a segment on the Infinity Podcast, which is our sister or brother podcast, I suppose.
My other podcast child.
Right.
Yes, where they'll talk about Marvel. Like, it's very common for Marvel to have like headlines that are nothing, like they don't mean anything, it's all speculation, and they call it "This is not a news," like saying that there was an old script found or an old synopsis for the Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
So who cares? Are they using it? Is it the current synopsis? Like, I feel like there's a lot of.
It's really clickbaity.
It's clickbaity stuff.
As someone who made a podcast to be clickbait, I see your clickbait. I get it. I'm with you.
The other thing I wanted to ask Brian, because I actually haven't interviewed as many authors as I would like, and I'm sure that self-publishing must be much easier now than it was.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I'm curious, like, what would be your advice to young writers who are like trying to get self-published? Maybe a synopsis from your panel that never happened.
Yeah.
But like, what would be your advice?
I love this panel. I'm here at FlameCon at this panel.
What would be your advice to like young writers who are trying to get self-published?
There's assuming they have a book,
right? Obviously,
finish the book.
That's important.
Step one.
Yeah, write a book. there's so much information that's out there that you can find. There are a lot of great writing forums. There's groups on Facebook. And in general, self-published authors are pretty supportive. When you get, like any group, when you get deep into it, politics can rear up. But
of course.
It's pretty welcoming to newbies.
Oh, cool.
So reach out to me,
Yeah.
reach out to other self-published authors. But really, Amazon makes it pretty easy. I mean, we all have our problems with Amazon, but I have conflicted feelings because they're all, because of Amazon is why I can self-publish really.
Yeah.
So Amazon's KDP platform, Kindle Direct Publishing, is really pretty easy. And I would also say don't be afraid to get stuff wrong when you're starting out. Don't feel like I can't publish this until everything is perfect. I have to have the perfect cover. It has to be, edited to perfection. The great thing with self-publishing is that you can revise. You can upload a new manuscript. You can change the cover whenever you want. Don't feel like you need to know everything before you put your first book out, because you'll learn as you do it.
Have you done that? Because I know you have print copies as well that you sell. Have you done that kind of revision where like something wasn't right and so you re-released the thing?
Yeah, I haven't changed. I haven't changed the body of the text very much, except for correcting typos or small things. But my first 2 books had 2 completely different covers.
Oh, wow.
And they were great. I commissioned a friend, this artist, Simon Winheld, who's fantastic, to create art for the covers. And then I just sort of did the graphic design myself. And then when I put them out, and I realized that a great piece of art doesn't necessarily mean it's a great cover for your genre, because you have to sort of match other books in your genre. You want to stand out, but still look like you fit in.
Right.
There's a certain level of like homogeny that you need to achieve if you're like, this is a science fiction.
Yes.
And they're like, someone needs a laser gun.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, going too far afield because I want to look different from everything out there.
Yeah.
Well, then readers don't know what kind of book that is.
Right,
I want to read an urban fantasy. That doesn't look like an urban fantasy. So I hired a company that does cover design.
Oh, cool.
We did them.
That's awesome. And are they who you use now for all of your books?
I've actually used each series I've gone to a different cover artist.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's fun.
awesome. So you kind of change it up.
Yeah.
How do you shop for a cover artist? Do you just look at their other work or browse their stuff online?
Yeah, they tend to. If you're in these forums or Facebook groups, you can generally find their advertising there. They're listing their services there. So you can find resources where you can sort of browse for cover artists, and then you just check out their work, see their prices, see if it matches what you think you want, their style.
Yeah. So when you are, I'm gonna say wooing. When you're wooing a cover artist, how much of your work do you give them to work with? Do you just sort of send them like a base synopsis, or do they get the full manuscript?
No, they don't want the full book. They don't need it.
Yes. Okay.
I mean,
I just wonder.
I'm hiring them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't have to woo them. Like,
Cool.
I'm paying them. They kind of woo me with their website and by displaying their work.
Okay.
So no, you send them a base description, like a synopsis, once you've agreed to work together, and usually they ask for I'll send like the themes of the book and like what are the most important characters. Are there other elements? Is there an object in the book that's important? And then usually they'll want you to point them towards other books online in your genre that you like, that you feel drawn to, so they get a sense of what kind of style. I'll point them towards my previously published books.
Like, hey, these things,
Hey,
this guy's
he's
great.
great.
You should do it like that.
Like this last guy did.
Well, Brian, thank you for being on the
Thank
show.
you.
Before we let you back out into the wilds of Brooklyn, Rachel has a segment that she created for the show.
It's true.
That I know you're familiar with because you've listened to the show.
have listened.
Yes,
But
first, I would like
oh
to
yes, I always forget the
say-
thank yous. I always do.
It's okay. Thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game, featuring Stefan Remble. Love the song all the time, forever.
Yeah, it's a great theme for the
It's
show.
so spooky
very
coming
catchy.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you, John.
I've since listened to all of his stuff because of that song. Like it's great.
Great. It's great.
And it's got this weird like mix of modern and not modernness to it that I really dig.
You've watched the official video of this
yeah,
one.
it's good.
The
The
illustration's lion
great.
and I love it.
Also, thank you to Katie Bug, who designed our logo.
Thank you, Katie.
The updated one is in the works, where my hair will be crazy dyed and Rachel's won't be.
Also, it's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to if you really want to. And thank you for the invite to Friendsgiving in 2019.
Yes.
Katie. So, Rachel.
Yes. And so now, Rachel, please.
This is the the christening of your guestdom on Screen Snark, an important question. If you could choose any one movie trope to be true in your life, what movie trope would that be?
Okay, so I had time to think about this.
I know.
Obviously.
Because
I'm
you've
so glad.
actually listened to the show.
This is crazy. Someone listen to this.
I was trying to come up with like something deep, like something like meaningful, something powerful, and I couldn't shake the very first thing that came to my mind, which is I want a fashion montage.
I knew it. I knew it. I sensed it in my heart that you were going to say that, and I was like, 80s fashion montage.
Exactly. I need, because I
It's
don't
fine.
have a good, like, I don't like shopping. I have very few clothes because I just wear them till they fall apart. I don't feel like I have a great sense of style, so I need like somebody to take me shopping, and I go into the dressing room and I come out in like stupid outfits for a while until I come out with like the perfect one, and then I leave the store with like that outfit. Somehow I'm wearing the outfit from the store, even though they don't let you do that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Carrying bags that presumably have even better clothes in them, and then that, you know, that transformation leads to some great transformation in my life.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
a good one.
And you've got two friends who are like in the dressing room, and they're like
No.
making faces,
Right,
like
yeah.
thumbs up.
Yep.
I love
That's
it.
good.
It's very,
That's
very
good.
good.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
I part of me wonders if we'll ever run out of guests, like answers that the guests could have, but I also feel like there's just so
Like a
much
million
nonsense
movie
in
tropes.
movies. And I love movies, but like
Yeah.
an 80s, a shopping montage is nonsense.
Nonsense.
Like,
Yes.
it's fun, but it's not, it's rarely integral to the plot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a follow-up question before we leave. For your montage, what song would you choose?
Ooh.
Yeah. Listen, I'm ready. I'm always ready
good.
to stump guests.
No, I didn't have
You
time
came
to think about
prepared
this.
for the one, not the. I'm a mean host.
I'm trying to think. I have two answers. All right,
Okay,
I have
yeah.
the one that because when you say 80s montage, for some reason any 80s montage to me needs to be to Walking on Sunshine.
Yeah,
In the
Very
that's
good,
a good one.
very good,
Yeah,
very
totally.
good.
But I think if it's a modern one, it's got to be something by RuPaul.
Yeah, that's
Pro.
good. Yeah.
And any of the of her songs that she's used as like the signature song for any particular season would work.
That's
Love
good.
it.
Good answer. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you for being on
Thank
the
you,
show.
Brian.
This
Thank
has
you
been a
so much.
blast.
This is great.
Keep an eye on Brian's book. When did you say the next book is coming out in the series?
The third book in this new series will be out early next year, January, February.
Awesome.
And the website where folks can subscribe to your mailing list
Yep.
and check out your works.
BrianOlsenBooks.com, and I'm Brian Olsen Books everywhere.
On social media.
Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram.
Isn't it funny how on social media we started out having different usernames for everything, and then the minute we wanted to advertise anything, they all became the same. So you could just say the one thing.
Yeah, off show, we'll talk about my Instagram, Twitter problems. It's fine.
But as always, thank you everyone for listening. I've been your host, Matt, aka Stormageddon,
I have been Rachel Quirky Shank.
and we'll see you at the movies.
We're done.
Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Screen Snark. I wrote it down.
You're trying to remember your own catchphrase that you came
trying
up
to
with?
remember. Yeah, because I also
funny.
open Infinity podcast. So
That's true, you do.
life is hard for me.
You lead a
like,
rough life.
I'm
It's
an
tough
open
to be you.
podcast. You know, it's like
Just do less work.
I'm a content creator now. It's fine. Where's the dark? Screen Snark podcast.